सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. So yes, continuing from the last class, 3 people have sent me something very nice that they have done without me asking. 3 people have sent me what they have understood about Tattvamasi and Omkara. That is Sundar has sent, Surendran has sent, Kiran has sent. All of them quite well written as far as Tattvamasi is concerned. Okay. Going forward, are all of you clear on this? I asked you all to think about something. Are all of you clear? Yeah, Falguni is clear, I know. What about the others? Sure? Okay. Then will someone other than Falguni and Kavita, Sundar, Surendran and Kiran, other than this, will anybody say a few words on it? Because these people have sent me in writing also. Now, coming back. Yeah? Yeah, I will do it. Don't worry. Okay. See, most of you, I am sure your Tattvamasi understanding is fairly good. Okay. Even though many of you are using the word creation, etc., I hope you understand that it's only a manifestation, not a creation. Okay. Number 1. Number 2, that question. The question is not that there are many Ishwaras, actually speaking, from what I understand. But the question is, how can everything be Ishvara? Anu, is that right? Okay. If you are... Yeah, why can't there? Yeah, why can't we have Ishwaras for everyone? I'm sure if an octopus was going to think about Ishvara, then the idea of Ishvara would be very different. Okay. Now, this is where the many Ishvara question comes up in what we call as whether your theism is multi or mono. Like for example, the Greeks and the Romans, there are many gods. Yeah. And one overruling the whole thing, Jehovah, Zeus, etc. So that they had. If you are taking this creation as real, that makes sense. Why? Because for each function you need a different guy. As the Purva Paksha we saw in the Brahma Sutras, if a making of a building, a palace there, he said, requires so many different creators, people, the architect, the engineer, the contractor, the workers, the masons, the carpenters, the stone layers, etc., all of them, then naturally for this whole universe you require many. And one big boss on top of them. Seems logical. Okay. So when you compare that with the one God of the Occidental religions, it doesn't gel. Okay. There will always be a conflict between the two. That is because either whether you are talking of one God in Occidental religions or many gods in Greco-Roman cultures, you are following your logic to establish that, or making it an article of faith. How do you know there is one God? Because his prophet told me. That's all that is there. No? It becomes an article of faith. Totally non-verifiable. Because that one God or many gods, all are located at some place and time and space. If there is one God and he has a location, in some Occidental religions, he has a form and he has a location. In one, he doesn't have a form but he has a location. I mean, that's totally illogical. How can you not have if you don't have a form, you don't have a location. Without a form, how can you establish a location? Anyway, all these are following logic, some sort of logic, basic logic. Why? Because they look at a pot, they look at a plow, they look at a cart and say, people have made it. Therefore, for this whole universe, there must be a Karta, God. Simple logic. Simple logic. Because of that, they followed that. Now, someone messaged me privately here also. You cannot establish this is a creation in the first place. Why can you not establish that this whole universe is a creation? Respond. Yeah. Therefore, you should. Okay, let me put it more technically. Yeah. You should have seen or conceived of Prak abhava pradvamsa bhava. Remember? Prior non-existence, posterior non-existence. This is the only universe you know. So how can you see the prior non-existence because you are not there? Or the posterior non-existence because you will not be there. Therefore, Prak and Pradvamsa bhava you cannot directly know. Even the scientific inferences that they make are based on so many assumptions, you can pick holes in that logic. And they also admitted, science also admits, says this is the most likely scenario. Anyway, therefore, God really becomes a topic, especially if you are looking at it as Ishvara, becomes a topic not available for logic. So every religion in the world will jump onto this bandwagon and say, God is beyond logic, therefore don't question us. That means you are asking me to blindly believe. Whereas when you come to the Veda as a pramana, as a means of knowledge, we don't say blindly believe, we say understand. Because we will not make an illogical statement. We will make a beyond logic statement like other religions by saying that there is God. Why? The pramana says so. But after that, most religions makes illogical statements. God is formless, but He is in one place. Then day by day creation theory, etc. That everything was literally created. So these are all very illogical statements. eternal heaven, eternal damnation. Illogical. So the whole bunch becomes illogical. In the name of beyond logic, you are making illogical statements which is actually within logic. We don't say that. We say Ishvara is a matter of understanding. I'm not going to go into all the details because I talked about this. This class has been going on for more than 12 years. But Ishvara's abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. He'll reveal that as the single, non-different, material and efficient cause of the whole universe. Established only through a pramana. Understandable through logic. The understanding is all logical. That there is Ishvara is pramana revealed, therefore beyond logic. But the whole understanding is logical. We are not making illogical statements here. Whole understanding is logical. Having said that much, therefore there can only be one. There cannot be many. Why? We are talking about one Ishvara being the material for the whole creation. The problem is twofold. One, we are thinking of it as creation. Therefore, in our minds, it's something that we have to make, something has been put together. Shift the understanding of creation to manifestation. It's a manifestation. Then it'll be easier to understand that there can be only one. Again, why only one? Because we are talking about the source of time and space. If Ishvara is the source of time and space, and everything in time and space, it has to be unitary, because divisions are made by space and time. So the source of time and space cannot have divisions within it. Another reason why the question of many Ishvaras comes up, because Satyam and Mithya is not very clear. Because we take about it as creation, Manifestation, is Mithya. But that Satya Mithya aspect has to be clarified. Not abstractly by saying, oh yeah, the world is Mithya. No, in my life. That what I see is solid is not solid. That this sand, not solid. The sand is solid enough to go through a plank of wood, through a brick. Not solid. Can you see that? This can go through that, but it is not solid. 90% of it is empty space. 10% is matter. In this solid hand, 90% is empty space, 10% is matter. And that matter is also a manifestation of consciousness. That empty space is also matter, manifestation of consciousness. Therefore, the Satyam Mithya has to be very, very clear. The more clear I am about Satyam Mithya, it's easier to understand the single source of the whole creation. Creation, manifestation. That there is only one source. So these are the understanding that one needs to work on to see that there is only one source. Cannot be many. Cannot be many. That's why the moment I bring in time and space and source of time and space, Ishvara becomes one. Cannot be many. It's not easy to absorb that understanding because Satya Mithya is not clear. Therefore, to make the thing absorbable, make that knowledge absorbable and my heart can accept it, Satya Mithya has to be clear. That means my whole experiences. Can you see the whole thing coming into the picture? Then things will be a lot clearer, a lot easier to understand. Because without Satya Mithya, Vedanta cannot be really understood. Yeah. That means everything that I held as true, everything that I hold as valuable, everything in my life is Mithya. At the same time, important enough to be taken care of. Look at it. It's important. Mithya world is important, therefore I'll take care of it. At the same time, understand it as Mithya, that's all that is there. Therefore, this learning necessarily has to be non-academic in nature. Academic learning, you can tabulate, create this, all that, fine. You do mind mapping also if you want. Excellent picture. Now, that can be done if you want for a presentation. Yeah. But to make it here, make it my own. To make it my own is the most important thing here. Yeah. Therefore, that Satya Mithya work on that. At the same time, the Shastra took into account the emotional reality of the people and accepted the necessity of looking at Ishvara in a very personalized manner. Therefore, we have all the stories, the Puranas, the Itihasas, where Ishvara is represented in different ways. And you are free to choose how you want to worship Him, how you want to relate. That's your personal doorway, your personal portal to relate to Ishvara. But the understanding has to be Ishvara is everything. The understanding is that Ishvara is everything. There is only oneness there. I am not different from Him. That's why Mandukya Karika becomes very important. Why? Because my body in His body, my mind in His mind, my ignorance in His Maya Shakti. Where am I? Where am I? There's only one Ishvara anyway. There's only one consciousness. Therefore, many Ishvaras not tenable. Not tenable. And for that understanding to sink in, Satya Mithya has to be clear. To not look at this as a deliberate creation, just a manifestation. Okay? Work on this, I'm sure it will be clearer. So, most of you got the Tattvamasi part very well. Okay? Tattvamasi was not a problem for any of you. Omkara by itself also was not a problem. Okay? Look at it. This is where I always say mind tends to function categorically, whereas Vedanta is a holistic vision of the whole thing. So, holistic vision. Now, when you are looking at it categorically, see, Tattvamasi, this is like this, very clear. Omkara is like this, like this, like this, like this, very clear. Where does it meet? Yeah. That's why I said the whole teaching of Vedanta is reduced. I gave you all a hint last time. The whole teaching of Vedanta He is reduced to Tattvamasi. That also you can see. Correct? Because when you see Ishvara, the whole creation is covered. Tat. Tvam, me, the individual. All the thing is, everything is covered. Behind the both is only one consciousness. Therefore, Tattvamasi, the whole thing is complete. In fact, that's all all Vedanta is teaching only that, Tattvamasi. No problems about this. Is there any issues on this? If it is, please ask now. Okay, it's clear. Fine. Now, what does Omkara stand for? Sagunam, Nirgunam both, right? Apart from all the details the Mandukya Karika gives, which is important to remember. Okay? At the physical level, waking level, Vishwa and Virat. At the Sukshma Sharira level, dream. What is it? Tejasa and Hiranyagarbha. At the level of Maya, deep sleep, Prajna and Ishvara. And the Avastatraya Sakshi, pure consciousness. Therefore, Omkara stands for pure consciousness. We will use a term Nirgunam Brahman. Ishvara as pure consciousness, Omkara. And Ishvara with the manifestation, waking, dream, deep sleep. Right or wrong? I want to know whether you have understood or not. Yeah. So, isn't this what Omkara is? Ishvara is pure consciousness, Ishvara with the world. Right? What is that? What is that racket in the background? Is there someone asking a question? God. So, is there a doubt with this? Omkara stands for Ishvara Nirgunam Brahman, Ishvara Sagunam Brahman. Clear? Yeah, the Avasatraya Sakshi is pure consciousness. Yes. Totality will be Ishvara, correct? Yes. Yes. From deep sleep, dream and waking, all of that is Sagunam. Deep sleep is only Maya, therefore Maya or Ishvara, unmanifest but potential condition. Potential condition. Deep sleep is potential condition. Avyaktam. At the total level. Potential. Tejasa and Hiranyagarbha manifest at the subtle level. Vishwa and Virat manifest as the physical level. Behind the whole thing is one consciousness, Nirgunam. Clear? If there are questions, ask. Otherwise, if I start going forward, you'll be more confused. If there are any questions, ask. Okay, what does Mandukya say about deep sleep? It is consciousness manifest in ajnanam, ignorance, right? Now, at the totality, what will you say? Consciousness manifest in total ajnanam, correct? Total ajnanam is nothing but Maya Shakti. Therefore, Ishvara is manifest in total Maya Shakti, right? Consciousness manifest in total Maya Shakti. Therefore, yeah, the deep sleeper Prajna, part of Ishvara. at that level, the manifestation level. But Ishvara in Maya, we are in deep sleep, is the state of pure potentiality. Yeah. And is the Ishvara is the potential for the whole creation. Now, therefore, Omkara will stand for the manifested Ishvara as well as unmanifested Brahman, the consciousness. Okay. What does Tattvamasi stand for? Really? At the end of Tattvamasi, what are you understanding at the end of Tattvamasi? This is a problem of academic learning. So what am I? At the end of Tattvamasi, what am I? I am Brahman, the only reality that is there. What is Omkara? The only reality that is there. Therefore, can you say, now Tattvamasi is a sentence, Omkara is a word. See, today's class is interactive, therefore I am not muting people. Manage your background noise, please. Is this clear? Tattvamasi is a sentence which has summed up the whole teaching. Correct? That much is clear? Now, from that, the whole teaching is summed up in one word, Omkara. Manifested, Ishvara, or pure consciousness. Both indicated by Omkara. How does Omkara indicate pure consciousness? The silence between the chanting. Yes. Therefore, if all of Vedanta, which is elaborate, how many books? 112 Upanishads. Their analysis, their Bhashyas, Brahma Sutras, Gita, Prakarana Granthas, huge body of literature summed up into Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, etc. Whole thing reduced further into what? One word, Omkara. So if you have Om with you, you can evolve the whole teaching out of it. Are you seeing that? Please. Taijasa. Yeah. Yeah. Correct? Kavita, you are not done Mandukya Karika, so the details will be clearer there. Understand it in general now. Okay? What is your doubt other than the details? Okay. Therefore, Omkara, Aum stands for waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. So, waker, the physical form of the whole universe. Dreamer equated to the Sukshma Sharira, consciousness manifest in the total Sukshma Sharira. Deep sleeper indicated or included into the consciousness that is manifest in total Maya Shakti. 3 states. The silence between chanting stands for pure consciousness. Clear now? The basic idea is clear. Yeah. Yeah. So, now that is the case, all you need is Omkara for the whole teaching to manifest. Is the class getting it or not getting it? Do you need explanations? Ask now. Shoot. Yeah? Yeah. Yes. Correct. No, that is the connection. Remember the argument given in Mandukya Karika? The Karika? Drishyatvat mithyatvam. Yad drishyam tad mithya. Because see, Satyam Mithya is an understanding used. Satyam Mithya is the understanding that is used to explain Tattvamasi, isn't it? Because unless you understand my body, mind, etc. as Mithya, it is not subject to negation. Because negation is only an understanding. No? Negation is not physical. Is that making sense? Yes. 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 I have told you all right from class 1 that Vedanta is about shifting standpoints. Therefore, a mind that can understand jokes well will understand Vedanta well. I want that mind to be trained in it. That's why I crack jokes. Less because now we are on Zoom and I can't see your faces. So the joke part of it is less. Yeah, but that shifting standpoints is to be understood. It's always shifting standpoint. Yeah. Yeah. No, not really. Once you are home with that pure consciousness, at home with that understanding, functioning becomes the most easiest thing in the world, most non-stressful thing in the world. As I always like to say, you can ride into battle without a thought in the world. Yeah. That doesn't mean you'll be foolish. Tell me, can the coronavirus harm me? Of course not. How can it touch me? The reality behind the coronavirus is the reality behind me. No problems. But that doesn't mean I will walk into the marketplace without a mask. That's foolish. Yeah. Because one mithya can affect another mithya. So the mithya virus can affect this mithya body, all right. Yeah. That's why latest news, Amitabh Bachchan is asking all the people who met me over the last 10 days, please get yourself tested. How many? And he's making that appeal over the social media. That means how many people did he meet? It is not that I don't meet people. Of course I meet people. 1, 2, here, there. You meet. Once in a way. You meet. Play it safe. But if he has to appeal on social media, all the people who met me, please get yourself tested. How many hundreds of people he must have met? Not a wonder he got the virus. Yeah. Like Guru Purnima, that day I met 3 people. The next day I met 2 people. So when you are keeping it restricted like this, there is no problems. But if you are meeting hundreds of people, your chances of getting the thing goes up manifold. Plus with all the energy work that I am doing, chances of me getting it are remote. Only karmically, if I am supposed to get it, I will get it, not otherwise. So that's the thing. Look at it. All this is within the mithya world. I am talking now. We'll take care of it. This is functional. Mithya world means functional. I'll take care of it. What am I? Pure consciousness. Not our problems. If you get it, yeah, Ishwaratvam is mithya, that is true. Ishvara is not mithya. Ishvara is nothing but pure consciousness. Ishvara is not mithya. That role is mithya. The role is mithya, not Ishvara. Ishvara is nothing but pure consciousness. Look at it. Shankara saying that in that verse, It almost becomes a paribhasha for interpretation. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva, he says. He says Brahman is a reality, world is Mithya. He doesn't say Jiva is Mithya. He says Jiva is nothing but Brahman. If he says, but Jiva is a role that you are playing, no? Jivatvam is a role which is to be negated. And in that statement, Jiva is Brahman, you will understand only if you have negated the role of Jivatva. So then, how can you say Ishvara is Mithya? Ishvaratvam, the role, yes. Yeah, the role. Ishvara is not Mithya. Ishvara is Brahman. That's why I say there is Brahman, pure consciousness, or manifest with the world. Always pure consciousness. That advice can be given by covering the mic. So this is where the whole thing comes in. Yeah. Correct. What becomes Mithya? Who's the questioner, please? I'm sorry. Kiran, yeah. Kiran, the role. Okay, Saguna Brahman is Ishvara and that is Mithya. You are Jiva, right? Are you Mithya? Are you? As a Jiva means what? Is Jiva the finite being? Others, please keep quiet. Is Jiva the finite being or the consciousness manifest as a finite being? So the manifestation is Mithya, the consciousness is Satyam. Now, when you say Saguna Brahman, what is Saguna Brahman? Consciousness manifests in the whole universe, right? Universe is Mithya. Is the consciousness Mithya? So Saguna Brahman is not Mithya. Only the gunas are Mithya. Understand this. Only the gunas are Mithya. The Brahman part is consciousness, not Mithya. Saguna Brahman, what does it mean, Saguna Brahman? Brahman exists with gunas. Why do you need Bhagatyaga Lakshanam for understanding Tattvamasi? Because the Bhaga that is Satyam consciousness is retained. The Bhaga which is Mithya, gunas, are negated. Correct? This is the meaning of Bhagatyaga Lakshanam. Back to fundamentals, back to basics. Because this understanding is very, very important. That's why I asked you all to think about it, because I knew these things will come up. I knew they would come up. I am not surprised at it coming up. So, don't never say Saguna Brahman is Mithya. Brahman as pure consciousness, Nirguna. Saguna Brahman, Nirguna Brahman are two words used to indicate standpoints. Nirguna Brahman, pure consciousness. Saguna Brahman, pure consciousness with the universe. But the pure consciousness always is there. Saguna Brahman is not impure consciousness, because we are using pure consciousness as Nirguna Brahman. And Saguna Brahman, it doesn't become impure consciousness. Some people have used the word higher, lower all the time. It's the same consciousness. Yeah. Satyabhai, I hope you, if it is you who said about Band Kar Darwaja, please respond, okay? I don't think it was Satish Bhai, yes. Yeah, okay. So, this is where the whole thing comes in. Okay? Saguna Brahman is not mithya. Only the guna part is mithya. Brahman is Brahman. This is where the nuances of your understanding has to be clarified. That's why I asked you all to do that homework. Any further questions? Anything else you all want to know? Please ask now. What is Kshetra and Kshetrajna? What is Kshetra, Kshetrajna? Tell me. Yeah. Therefore, what is the statement there that Krishna makes? What is Kshetrajna? How? How? How does it become like that? Look at this. If you are looking at the paradigm from the Gita. Okay. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramiti abhidiyate. Correct? This body, mind, etc., which you have taken as mind, as me, is really speaking kshetram, the object of knowledge. Correct? Yeah. Okay. Then, yo veti, the one who objectifies that, one who knows that, is the kshetrajna. So, our kshetrajna is the sakshi, the witness of the whole thing. Then the next statement he says, Kshetrajnam chapi mam viddik sarva kshetreshu bharata. In every kshetra, in every body mind complex, in every object, there is a kshetrajna, the one who is objectifying that. And the one who objectifies that is nothing but me. It's a Mahavakya or not a Mahavakya? Because Krishna is not speaking as Mr. Krishna, husband of Rukmani, son of Yashoda. She is not speaking like that. He is speaking as Brahman, Ishvara. He is speaking as Ishvara. Kshetrajnam chapi mam viddik sarva kshetreshu bharata. The standpoint is like that. You have to understand standpoints. Whether you are a bhakta who will say yes, Krishna was Ishvara, or a liberal who will say this is all mythology. The standpoint has to be understood. Therefore, it is the same as any Mahavakya. So, where is the difference? You came for that camp, no, in Coimbatore, when we handled different Mahavakyas. I had handled this one also there. Yeah. So, this is a Mahavakya. It's like a Mahavakya-like statement. Therefore, the same logic is applicable. The same understanding also has to come out of it. That what is there is only one consciousness. Yeah. Any other questions? Let's clear it all now. Okay. One second, I didn't get that question. What is that question? Can you put it up again, please? Yeah? Yeah? The waking world is shown as mithya, na? See, the waking world is shown as mithya. The dream world, same logic. See, I as a waker, my waking world is shown as mithya. And this waking world is part of the total world. Correct? So that is both mithya. Similarly, dream, my dream world is mithya. Dream reality is mithya. Then avidya and maya, mithya. One consciousness alone remains. Yeah. So same logic is applied. Yeah, same logic is applied. Good. Now thinking is happening. I'm very glad with this. I knew this will happen in today's class. I have to. My job as a teacher. That's why I don't give homework after every chapter. I ask at crucial points where we can do the whole thing. Various paradigms can be used. Some teachers would like to give it after every chapter, make sure you're online. I like to do it at crucial junctures. Personality differences come in, that's all. Nothing more than that. I mean, if you all want me to give it at every chapter, end of every chapter, I can do that also, okay? You all decide. I'm comfortable with all paradigms. So, did you all get this? The whole Vedanta teaching? Tattvamasi Omkara. Clear about it? Or any doubts, questions coming up? Any doubt you have, ask today. I think people have finally said, enough Baba, it's all clear. Huh? Beg your pardon? Oh. Okay. This is the problems of working from home, having classes from home, etc. It is not always an ideal solution. Yeah. It's not the idea of walking. These are not ideal solution. They are limited for this corona period. Okay, for the period of the pandemic, they are some because better than nothing. See, if it was under normal conditions, these noises would go unheard, by you all. Because you are focusing, it's a live class, you are focusing, a small noise in the background, nobody will bother about it. It will not, only when it catches up in a recording or something, you will think, array, there was a disturbance. But here, since all of you are focused only on this, there will be a problem, Nidhu, check whether you have muted your phone in the hope somebody else will be muted. Yeah. So this is where the issue is. So not a problem. It's all part of the Mithya world. These things will happen. Okay. Yeah. Shoot. Yeah. No, it's related to the topic of yoga that we have been discussing in this chapter, in this verse, in the 9th verse, is related to that. Okay? Because Omkara. No, okay, just I'll handle this one question before I come to that. Prajna is not Sakshi. Prajna is the almost ignorant one. The one who says I am ignorant, that entity is the Sakshi. Okay. Now, when I am coming to this Omkara, when a yogi chants Omkara, okay, he has that elongated chanting, which sometimes we make fun of. Okay. Pujya Swamiji would always make fun of it. Okay. That him, because he didn't want you to get caught up in all that. Okay. Now, when you chant it in an elongated way, okay, even without the breathing, when you chant Omkara in the elongated manner, it is supposed to resonate through your whole spinal cord through your whole spinal cord and increase your energy levels, which will help you in the spiritual field by taking care of this preparation. So that's why he says, if you can't do anything else, if you can't work at individual level of what your blocks are or what your problems are, minimum do this, just raise that energy. So that is why he says chant Omkara 21 times. And see, previously we used to always say, don't chant Omkara plain and simple. It will increase your level of Vairagya. That's the Punya Papa part. It will increase your level of Vairagya. Therefore, always connect Omkara with another mantra like Om Namah Shivaya or Om Namo Narayanaya or something like that. But in today's world, that is because in those days, people were very aware of what moksha was and they had a desire for moksha. Even if they were going to get married, this, that, etc., the desire for moksha was there. As ultimate, they had all kept it as ultimate. Therefore, if you already kept it as ultimate and you have a child, and you have too much of vairagya, it becomes a problem. Why? Because bringing up a child it requires your total involvement in it. So, that's what it called for. So we said, don't chant plain Om. Because in your life you need other things. So the Vedantic teaching was very inclusive. Whereas in today's world, wherever people, how many people have kept moksha as their ultimate goal? Minority. And if you look at Sadhguru, he deals with the masses, crowds. Definitely, I don't think any of them has kept moksha as ultimate goal. They have kept some mystical experience as ultimate goal. Not more than that. Therefore, he says, thoda vairagya aana de chant Om, acha hi. It's good. Because for the masses to get some vairagya is good. But if people are already aware of moksha, then too much of vairagya may make it difficult for you. Vairagya, I mean literal giving up things, okay? Not just objectivity. Literal thing to give up and walk away, become a sadhu. And become a problem. Therefore, that is why the different approaches between what Sadhguru says now and what we said traditionally. Yeah. Which is okay, fine. Anyway, since he is not presenting moksha, there will be no problems of other things anyway coming in. Okay, any other questions or clarifications? Is that clear enough, Anu? Yeah, okay. All right. Any other questions, clarifications? Okay. So all of you can think about it. Those people who are not taken part in the discussion, think more about it. Okay. If any of you want to write and send it to me, I'm happy to go through the whole thing. Okay. No problems about that. So I think we will not go ahead into the text, already 12:15. So next class we will go ahead with the text. Okay. Good place. Stop. Om Tat Sat.